All right, everybody. Welcome to our class called Zera Shimshon. Right now we're doing the book of Ruth, held in memory of Malka,
Holocaust Ruth, uh, uh,
uh, Malka Ruth Bas Moshe,
Moshe.
Margaret Vogel of blessed memory. Held here in this Long Meadow, Massachusetts, center of the universe. What are you doing up? Okay,
And
so
she actually went by Marguerite.
I'm not sure about that. She spelled it Marguerite.
She used to tell me her name was Marguerite.
Because Rudy
As,
Herman.
told me it's Margaret. Was your mother
as
Marguerite or Margaret?
Margaret. It was
See,
Margaret.
Margaret.
when I had met her the first time, she introduced herself as Marguerite.
Okay.
I
I'm just
remember that a
telling you.
long time ago.
Well, but I
Well,
remember
that was a
by
long time ago. Your memory may not be as sharp, but I'm telling you,
And
she went by Margaret.
and by what's
And
his name?
to appease Americans, if they called her Marguerite, she'd say, "Oh, okay," but her name was
Who was the
Margaret.
rabbi when your family got honored by the Chevra Kadisha? Forgot his name.
What?
Who was the rabbi at Kadima? The lawyer.
Weiss, Weinstein,
Sunshine.
Rosenzweig,
Rosenzweig.
Rosenzweig,
Rosenzweig.
Rosenzweig.
I remember
Yeah,
when Rosenzweig at the dinner called her Marguerite. So,
yeah.
okay. But Rudy
It
told
was
me it's Margaret. So, um, we're here in this chapter. We're in the middle of the chapter. We stopped in the middle, and we learned that Boaz told Ruth. No, this is the beginning of the book. This is the end. We have all this to do. That he told her to go behind. Excuse me. Go behind the workers, and they'll leave her alone. They're not going to harass her. And so he asked, why would he have to tell her that? What kind of workers do you think he hired? Do you think he hired people who are uncouth and would harass her? So he said that at the beginning he said that there's a law that there's a law in the Torah about shikha. If you're cutting the field and you forget to either harvest or to collect something that's in front of you, then and you forget something in the field, then it has to be left for the poor people. Now, what's considered forgetting? So if you've passed that thing and it's behind you, then that's considered forgetting. If it's still ahead of you, that's not considered forgetting. So he said that Boaz told her, and then there's a law that if two people start, you have a furrow, right? A whole row to harvest. What if two people start in the middle, and this one goes north and this one goes south? So the um, so whatever is behind them is not considered forgotten because they're relying on the other person to take it. So if she follows them, let's say in such a case, they go like this, start in the middle, they go out, and they forget something. So she follows them, she takes, really, it's not forgotten. Please close them. It's not considered forgotten because each one has behind no. Gotta close it. Okay. Because it's behind them. So Boaz said to her, it's okay if you take it, because I told them that you should take and that you shouldn't stop her. Let her take what she wants, even though it's not halachically shikha, considered forgotten sheaves or stalks, let her take it anyway. So that's what he said to her. That's why he said, I instructed the workers not to stop you from taking or not to harass you. I don't know. Not mine. Who wants to know? Whose is this? It's not mine, okay?
Like
It's
gallons.
not yours either because it opens. Yours doesn't open. night. Be a good boy and listen to your mommy.
You are not supposed to be up.
Okay.
That'll be-
And then it said, and then we asked, Rudy asked, right?
Yep.
Rudy asked, why did he put her through, make her go through these
Orchestration.
orchestrations? That's the word you use, but they're what called? Hoops,
Yeah.
leaps and hoops. What do you call them?
Loops and
No, make you go
bounds.
through, jump through hoops, make you go through, make her jump through hoops to collect stocks here and stocks here. Let her just give her the stuff and say, here, take it home. Right?
Mhm.
So, Rudy, we stepped on what, 13?
Um,
Or do we go to 14? 14. We stepped on 14. So it said
Yep.
that the deal was whoever, and Boaz knew that whichever relative goes to redeem the field is also has to marry Rus. That was a stipulation, I guess, from Naomi and Rus. You want to redeem the field? Redeem it, but she's part of the bargain. You're stuck with her. So he had a uncle. Boaz had an uncle who was a brother to Avimelech, the father-in-law of Rus. He had first dibs on the field and on matrimony. He had the first right of refusal to marry, to to redeem the field and to marry Rus. And I'm not sure exactly what we learned and where we stopped. So now, so Boaz didn't want to tip his hand. If he gives her gifts now, like openly, then people will say, "Aha, he has his eye on her for marriage." So Boaz didn't want that. So he wanted his uncle, to be the first one, the brother of Avimelech, to be the first one to say, I don't want to marry her. And then Boaz would be able to step in and say, okay, I'll redeem the field and marry her. So we're on page 14. Let's start at the beginning of 14. Rudy, go ahead now, all these things.
I thought we were in the middle.
Could be. We'll review this
All right.
part.
All right. All right. Now, all these things concerning Boaz and Rus and their deeper significance are hidden and sealed. Because from their union, our righteous Mashiach of the Davidic dynasty will come to the world, as is known by those who know. But had Boaz married Rus before he spoke to the Redeemer would have bought the field and thus been able to challenge or raise a claim against the marriage. Boaz's intentions thus would have been achieved. He
Thus would
therefore
not have
waited
been
to,
achieved.
I'm sorry, would not have been achieved. He therefore waited to marry Rus until the Redeemer refused to do so and formally surrendered his rights to both Rus and her field.
Okay.
Continue.
Yes, please.
There was another reason why Boaz wanted to link Rus's marriage with the acquisition of her field. Zera Shimshon cites a medrash to explain. See Medrash Rabbah on the verse. Formerly,
Let me
this was
explain
done in
this in
Israel.
advance before you read it.
Okay.
A person in Torah, a person can sell a field and then he can come back and redeem it. In other words, buy it back. And this obviously against the will of the buyer. The seller can go, he gets money somehow, he has a big business deal, he can go and buy it back. When someone would do this, if someone would do this, then the people would be very happy for him. There would be like a celebration for this guy who bought his field back. So that's that. On the other hand, if someone would marry a woman who is, I'm going to say, considered beneath him, but not just I'm not talking about like for racial reasons or for a caste system or something like that, but caste, but beneath him of because of lineage. So then the people would not approve. Boaz himself was a leader of Israel. He was a very prominent person, perhaps number one in all the land. Here you have a woman coming from who's a Moab, a convert, and not just a convert, but someone from Moab, where the men are not allowed to, men who convert from Moab are not allowed to marry into mainstream Israel, and the reason is because they were not welcoming. I'm sorry that they were not welcoming to the Jewish people, and they also didn't, and they also hired Bilam to curse them. So Moab was looked down upon, and so even though halachically, they were allowed to marry a woman from Moab, and also in places it says that that Boaz's relative, one of the reasons he turned down the opportunity to marry Rus is because the halacha was not clear that the law against marrying from Moab did not apply to women. So either the law wasn't clear or wasn't well known, and he says, "No, I'm going to get harassed. People are going to bother me, or the people are going to, if we have children, they're going to claim that our children are not." Don't come from the highest lineage. So he had reasons to say no. So Boaz said, if I marry Rus, people might what's it called? Wag their fingers, cluck their tongues. They might disapprove. So he connected it with redeeming the field. And so redeeming the field, he connected to show that just like you're happy for me to redeem the field, you should also be happy for me to marry Rus, the Moabite convert. Okay, so now Rudy, go ahead.
Formerly, this was done in Israel, which teaches that when someone would sell the field of his family's inheritance, his relatives would publicly disgrace him, as they would do for someone who married a woman who was unfit for him. See there for the details. Nevertheless, when such a person retracted and redeemed the field that he had sold, they would publicly restore him to his honor, as they would do for someone who divorced a woman who had been unfit for him to marry. See there for details. But here, with respect to Rus, people were in doubt about her, whether she was fit to marry or not, as we will explain later. On the verse mentioned above, see there, verse 14. Boaz thus wanted to show that just as it was a great honor to redeem the field of his family's inheritance, so too it was a great honor to marry this woman because she was fit to marry. For Boaz knew that the law had been decided that only a Moabite man is prohibited to enter the congregation of Hashem, but not a Moabite woman. He therefore wanted to link the redemption of the family's field with the taking of Rus as his wife to show that both were great mitzvos. In any event, it was essential for Boaz to wait to marry Rus until the Redeemer had surrendered to him his rights to both her and her field.
Okay. Now the next thing says, quotes a halacha that regarding sending shalach manas on Purim to women, the Shulchan Aruch says that a man should not send a shalach manos to a woman because he shouldn't, and this is as a precaution that he shouldn't send to a widow, especially a widow. Because it sends to a widow, then it might bring into question maybe it was meant as kiddushin. Maybe it was meant for marriage. The act of kiddushin, the act of marriage in halacha, is when the man gives the wife something of value for the sake of marriage. So the man gives nowadays, the groom gives the bride, or the man gives a woman a ring for the sake of marriage. So that is, at that point, she is married. When she accepts it, they're married. So, but when if a person is sending, if a man sends gifts to a woman, let's say on Purim, okay, it might raise the question that maybe he meant it for the sake of marriage. And so this is especially to a widow. And so therefore they said blanket a man should not give shalach manos to a woman. So Boaz, if he would have given Rus any gift, any grains at any time, then people would suspect that maybe it was done for marriage. So since he didn't want anything to happen, he didn't want anyone to know, and he wanted that he had his eye on her, and he wanted his uncle to say, "No, I don't want to marry her," like out of his own free volition without any outside influence. Therefore, he didn't give her anything till later. So let's continue. Rudy, Zera Shimshon introduces.
Zera Shimshon introduces another important point that is needed to answer the questions he raised about Boaz. Now, Rama, in his glosses to Shulchan Aruch, or Chaim, at the end of, I guess, verse 695, wrote, when fulfilling the mitzvah of Mishloach Manos, sending portions on Purim, a man should not send portions to a woman, so a man will not eventually send portions to a widow and thereby enter into a questionable state of marriage. But with regard to the mitzvah of gifts to the poor, matanos le'avyonim, there is no such concern. A man may send charity to a woman. Explaining this distinction, the Magen Avraham wrote that in the case of Mishloach Manos, people may say that they are bridal gifts, and we are therefore concerned that he may have already betrothed her. See further there. How could he have betrothed her just through gifts? You have to say mekudeshesly. So how is he going to betroth her? But just by sending
If
gifts.
a person sends gifts without saying it, but they've discussed marriage. So if they discuss marriage and he sends to her with the intention and he doesn't say anything, if I'm not mistaken, she is Mikudeshes. She's also betrothed. So here the question is that people will say. I think the issue is that it's possible that it was done for marriage.
I mean, I remember learning in the Gemara that if a man approaches a woman and takes a ring and she puts forth her index finger and puts the ring on her index finger and says, At Mekudeshesli, they're married. In the eyes of Hashem, they're married without a chuppah, without a ksuba.
They need two witnesses.
Yeah, and they have the two witnesses. So how do you get married if you're just sending a woman gifts?
Again, there are many what if scenarios. What if it's done like this? What if it's done like that? What if it's done like this? What if it's done like that? Okay, so one of the scenarios is if he gives her something of value without saying anything to her, without saying, you're hereby married to me. And here, part of the issue, it's hard to see if the issue is that is a suffix kedushin, that it's possible that it's done for marriage. Okay, we're concerned that maybe it was done for marriage, and that brings up questions if she's married, that she might be married, or he was worried that people would suspect that it was done for marriage, even though it really wasn't.
So
And that's what we're going to say next. That he was worried that people. What?
So is the line of argument in the Suba, there is language that talks about monetary gain, right? That you're giving your betrothed a pillow or a chicken or something of value aside from the ring that shows that you're betrothed to her. Is that where that comes in? That the
It's
gifts
not
may
there.
be.
I'm not sure there's something like that. It says he gives her. I think it says he gives her the ring, and he
Yeah, but
said
doesn't that
that
say
you're betrothed to me.
it doesn't say in the Ksuba any verbiage Aramaic that talks about giving her some kind of financial gain, something?
No, no. In the event that they divorce or that he dies.
Okay. All right. So we are therefore concerned that he may have already betrothed her. See further over there. But in the case of Matanos Avionim, gifts of money to the poor, there is no such concern. Money is not given as a bridal gift, and Kedushin needs to be performed before two witnesses. In the case of Matanos Avionim, everyone thus knows that it is certainly charity. Based on this distinction, and based on the fact that Boaz would not marry Rus until the Redeemer asked him to, Zera Shimshon answers his questions about Boaz. Continue.
One moment. Give me a second. It says he's giving us I guess usually it's translated as dowry, but it means it's like a collateral that's that she would get in the event that he dies or they get divorced. Okay?
1 second.
Yes. What's next? Yeah, please go ahead.
I was just looking at I just wanted to see if I can find the English translation for Ksuba. Anyways, not to belabor the point. All right. Based on this distinction and based on the fact that Boaz would not marry Rus until the Redeemer asked him to, Zera Shimshon answers his questions about Boaz. Boaz therefore did not want to give Rus any gifts in a respectable way. So rumors would not abound that she had possibly been betrothed, which would prevent his intentions from being achieved. For if the Redeemer knew that Boaz went ahead and betrothed Rus before he obtained the Redeemer's permission, he would no longer be willing to perform that deed of removing his shoe and giving it to the other for no reason. That's chalitza, right?
No. They would
Yibum?
give no, it's nothing. It's just part of the contract. It's the handshake
part
of
of
the
the contract?
contract.
Okay. Yeah, that's what it was, right? Okay. On the contrary, once he saw that Boaz acted without his permission, he would retain his rights for himself, presenting a challenging claim against Boaz's marriage to Rus. Boaz therefore wanted Rus to receive his produce only in the manner of gifts to the poor, gathering them from his field as a pauper, because then there would be no concern that he might have betrothed her. Okay, so this kind of explains the whole orchestration thing.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does. In this context, it does.
Now, later, um, later when Naomi said to her, "Go at night. He's going to be sleeping in the barn or out in the field. Go and stay next to him and tell him that it's time that he whatever spread his take you under his shelter his wings." So Boaz told her, "Be very discreet, quiet, leave while it's still dark," and he gave her six. Says six, I think barley. Is it barley? Yeah. Said, I don't want you to go back. So on the one hand, six barley is empty, is nothing. On the other hand, if it was meant six um, measures of barley, that would be an awful lot to carry. So the Gemara says that it was a hint of the six great tzaddikim that would come from her. But that was
Okay.
done in a very, very discreetly. Okay.
Okay.
Now continue, Rudy.
So following this approach, the Zera Shimshon explains that Boaz was careful to avoid any such implications, even when he placed 6 measures of barley upon her in the privacy of his granary. How much is a measure?
I just one. You go ahead and read. I'll look for the answer.
Okay. And when he gave her the 6 measures of barley, it's a shorim. Okay. Rus understood that his intention was to let her keep them as charity. So she would not come back empty-handed to her mother-in-law. But he did not want to tell her this explicitly, so it would not sound like he was giving her a gift in a respectable way, for that could be misconstrued as bridal gifts that followed a betrothal. And therefore, when the Megillah states that Rus told Naomi, he gave me these 6 measures of barley, for he said to me, do not come to your mother-in-law empty-handed, the word Eli is pronounced but not written, which implies that Boaz said in his heart without actually verbalizing it. But in truth, Boaz's deeds clearly implied that he wanted to tell her this. Rus was therefore correct in conveying this message to Naomi, even though Boaz did not actually say it. So it's read one way and written another to reflect that Boaz had that intention in his heart, but he didn't actually utter it.
Yes.
Fascinating. Okay.
I looked this up last week and found it.
How much a measure is?
No, what the Gemara says about it.
Oh. Should I continue reading or?
Yes, please continue.
Alternatively, Eli is pronounced but not written in order to allude to an unspoken message that Boaz conveyed to Naomi when he sent his barley with Rus. Furthermore, we may explain as follows, for since Boaz informed Rus through those 6 measures of barley that 6 descendants were destined to emerge from her, who would be blessed with 6 blessings? As the sages of blessed memory stated, Sanhedrin, if so, he conveyed 2 messages with his barley. That is, he conveyed that Naomi's hope that he would marry Rus would not return empty-handed, and also a firm assurance to Rus that she would be the forebear of 6 great descendants. And this is reflected by the word Eli being pronounced but not written, for Eli is, in this context, implies that Boaz told Rus, you will actually be unto me, which Rus interpreted for Naomi as meaning that he will take me for a wife. But he did not say this explicitly to Rus because his primary message to her was the greatness of her 6 descendants. And therefore, since a lie reflects an unspoken message to Naomi, it is not written in the verse, even though it is pronounced when reading it. See also below for further elaboration on this verse. Wow.
Okay, so listen to this.
Wow.
Rabbi Tanchum said, Bar Kappara expounded in Sipori. What is the meaning of that which is written? Ruth said, These 6 barleys did he give me. Now, what is meant by 6 barleys? If you say it means literally 6 barleys, 6 kernels, was it the practice of the wealthy Boaz to give a present as trifling as 6 barley corn? Certainly not. If you say rather that it means he gave her 6 sa'ah of barley, which is a sizable gift, is it the practice of a woman to carry a burden as heavy as 6 sa'ah of grain? How did Boaz expect Ruth to carry that much barley back to her home? Rather, it indeed means he gave her 6 barley corns, not as an ordinary gift that he gave her 6 barley corns, that he gave not as an ordinary gift, but for a symbolic purpose. He indicated to her that 6 descendants were destined to descend from her would be each be blessed with 6 blessings. 6 descendants with 6 blessings. How many people were going to Penize? And these 6 descendants were David, Mashiach, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah.
Is Azariah from the Haggadah?
What?
Is the
David was
Azariah?
Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The 3 people who Nebuchadnezzar had thrown into the fire, and they survived. David was a direct descendant of Ruth. Mashiach is a direct descendant of David. Regarding descent from Ruth of Daniel, Mishael, and Azariah, see end of note 24 below. Of 3, he indeed gave her 6 measures of barley as well, to be transported over several trips. As stated, he measured 6 barleys, placed it upon her. He measured, certainly not referring to barley corns, which are counted and not measured. Okay, that was an addition. All right. So Rudy continued to summarize.
But how did he know that 6 descendants were coming from her? Those 6.
Intelligence.
He was Boaz.
He was
Yeah.
a smart man. I walked into a
right.
store yesterday and a stranger told me that things are going to happen in my life in the next week or two, and it's gonna things will come together, and I'm gonna remember stuff that's been forgotten. I'm like, yeah, well, my daughter's getting married next week. He says, bingo. How did he
Was he
know?
he was a soothsayer?
Yes,
All right.
He didn't,
yes.
he didn't even pay for that.
Out,
Exactly.
damn spot. Right. Which thing was the soothsayer? Which story? Was it Julius Caesar?
Yes.
Lady Macbeth? Huh?
It was Julius Caesar.
You know what?
All right. Beware the Ides of March.
That's correct.
That's my
Okay.
So the drush begins with a verse in which Boaz instructs Rus to collect produce that his harvesters leave behind, and in which he informs her that he commanded them not to touch her. Zera Shimshon puzzles over the connection between Boaz's instructions to Rus and his command to his harvesters, and why such a command was even necessary. He therefore clarifies that when harvesters start from the middle of a row and forget produce behind them, the law is that the produce is not considered shichach. Accordingly, since Boaz instructed Rus to follow harvesters who followed such a pattern, she may have been concerned that they would stop her from taking produce that was not considered shichach. He therefore commanded them not to touch her and informed her of this command so she would not be afraid to take the produce. Question arises, if Boaz wanted Rus to take more than just shikach, why did he not give her an outright gift and save her from the disgrace of collecting in the field as a pauper? And when he did give her 6 measures of barley, why did he not give it directly to her or even specify that it was a gift for her? Faced with these questions, the Zera Shimshon raises additional questions about that incident. For when Rus presented Boaz's barley to Naomi, she said, for he said a lie to me. Do not come to your mother-in-law empty-handed. And yet there is no evidence that Boaz ever said those words. Finally, Zera Shimshon wonders why the word a lie is pronounced but not written in the verse. Addressing all of these questions, the Zera Shimshon explains that Boaz wanted to be sure that no one would ever challenge his marriage to Rus or his right to her field. Her marriage was therefore linked to the purchase of her field. This indicated not only that she was fit to be married, just as her field was fit to be redeemed, but also that the final redeemer's acquisition of her had to be linked to the acquisition of her field. In this way, no one would ever be able to challenge their marriage. Accordingly, Boaz avoided doing or saying anything that might be misconstrued as a betrothal of Rus until he had given the first redeemer a chance to transfer to him all of his rights to Rus and her father. Boaz, thus careful not to present a respectful gift to Rus in any way, for this might have implied that there had also been a betrothal, as is true regarding Mishloach Manos on Purim. Instead, he had her gather produce from the field as a pauper, where there would be no such concern, as it is true regarding Matanos La'evyonim on Purim. And for the same reason, even when he measured barley for her in the granary, he did not give it to her directly nor say what it was for. Rus, however, understood that it was a gift for her to share with Naomi and said so when she brought it to her. This is alluded to in the absence of the word a lie in the clause because he said to me, which implies that Boaz said this in his heart, but not verbally. And Rus understood it on her own and stated it to Naomi. Zera Shimshon concludes the drush with another explanation of why the word a lie is absent from the Megillah. For Naomi had hoped that Boaz would marry Rus in order for her to bear righteous descendants from him. Boaz therefore sent 6 measures of barley to her, hinting to the fact that 6 righteous people were destined to descend from them, indicating that he would indeed marry her. In this way, Boaz alluded to his intentions, but did not actually say them. The verse therefore reads that Rus said, he said unto me, meaning you shall be wed unto me, but is missing the word a lie because he did not actually say so.
Okay. So, beautiful insights into what's really going on.
Amazing stuff.
Yes, very nice. Okay. Yeah, next week we're not going to have a class.
No
Good
class
job.
next week?
Huh? No class.
It's
No
2 weeks,
class.
right?
2 weeks, God willing, most likely.
You have something going on next week.
Yeah, so we have Sheva Brachos next Tuesday. All right. And I got Mincha in 1 minute.
All right. Very
Okay,
well.
everybody.
Thank you, Chaim. Take care,
Good
Alan.
seeing you all. Good seeing you all.
Take care,
Alan, feel
Avigail.
good. Abigail, good
Feel
luck with
better.
all your projects.
Thank you.
Take care. Good luck with everything. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.